anyone here, I know we're all here to improve our communication, if anyone here really doesn't want any more money in their lives, please leave. So I'm gonna try to tie together two things. One's a philosophy for life, but I'm gonna tie it into a philosophy for investing too. So anyone, there's studies that say if you make over 70,000, any extra money doesn't increase happiness, and all these other studies. Well, I've been broke, and I was a multimillionaire in my late 20s, and I can tell you, that's absolute crap. It's a lot more fun to have money if you know how to use it properly. If you know how to use it on experiences, it gives you freedom to do whatever you want. If you buy possessions that are just going to sit there and stress you out, that's not probably the best way. So I would disagree 100% with that. And I think most of the dissatisfaction is somehow in our lives, it's actually tied to money. It's those mornings you don't want to get up to do a job that you don't want to do. Well, if you had enough money, you wouldn't have that problem. When we're overworked and stressed with work, if we had enough money, we would just take a sabbatical like Ken did, went to France for a year and enjoyed life. You know, that's success to me. Success is having the freedom. No matter what we do in life, there's always going to be times where we have to do certain things that aren't ideal. But in general, if we have enough money, we can bend our lives to a much more just flourishing and positive life. So there's three ways we can do this, I would say very generally. One is we just renounce everything. We renounce our career, we renounce our relationships, we renounce our possessions, and we join a monastery or an nunnery. Now, when I was young, I had a very impressionable time in Thailand after college, and I was really impressed with Buddhism. And then I heard an intellectual recently say, Buddhism is the cessation of want. You get rid of the desire, and you're left with happiness. But this modern philosopher was saying that's absolute crap. The only way to really do that is to renounce everything and live in a monastery. But that's escaping from, that's like hiding from life. It's not conquering life. So I'm throwing that out the window. The second one is what some of my friends do, and they have something. Maybe they don't love their job, but they make a little bit more than they spend. They keep saving, and they think, well, if I do this long enough, there's going to come a time where I have enough money. And maybe I can do something, when I'm 80, 85 or something, and maybe have a semblance of a couple of years of retirement. So for me, that's absolute nonsense too. So we're going to throw that away. That's just selling your every hour for every dollar. It's a poor way of looking at things. The third thing is just using. This is what I'm going to talk about. Is using leverage and just a bit of ways of using knowledge to make money, but also once you make money, multiply it, exponentially. So the reason I'm talking about this today off the cuff is because I was listening to a podcast last night and it was talking about a few of the things I'm going to talk about, and I realized that I'm 40 years old, and when I was very wealthy in my late 20s, I thought I was a smart guy. I didn't know what I didn't know. And the big thing is, I had an MBA in finance, I had my own trading company, I'm very proud of my personal library. This is pre-internet days. Internet was around, not that old, but people still read a lot more books than they do now. And I was very passionate about finance books, biographies of very successful people. And somehow among all that reading, I had that myth, and I'm upset that Mark's not here, because Mark gave a speech about nothing beats the S&P. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what I wish I'd known then, and I now know today after losing a lot of money in the stock market crash. So the second thing I want to talk about, and I'm going to tie it all together, is risk and reward. I know you like risk, James, I love that. Risk is one thing. It's good to take risk, but you've got to look at, it's like when people say, we've got to have rights. Well, you can't have rights without responsibility. You can't have risk without reward. You have to always balance. So, for instance, the risk-reward matrix they told me when I was a young trader is every time you do a trade, what's the risk? And I was an option trader. So if you buy an option, the only risk is you lose the money you buy. If you sell an option, you're collecting quarters in front of a train. You're going to get hit, getting money, and then when you get hit, you get run over. So, but it's a great way of looking at everything. James, you go out tonight. You have a great time drinking with your friends. You drove. You can either leave your car there, get an Uber home, or you can drive home wasted. Well, look at that. The risk and the reward. The reward is I'm going to save an Uber fare, and I don't have to get my car in the morning. The risk is I'm going to kill myself or kill someone as well. So that's obviously, it's very easy to see that's a very bad trade. So we can apply this to everything. So I'm going to talk about applying it in money and finance. So you have all these different things. Jonathan, you talked about gold and silver before. So all these things we can invest in. I have a buddy that I know that has $1 million cash in a bank. I think he's absolutely crazy. He doesn't have any assets, doesn't have any stocks, doesn't have any property. $1 million in the bank. Every month, inflation's eating away. He's not missing the opportunity to multiply it. Cash is a waste. Bonds are pitiful. Look at the interest rates right now, a couple of percent. You don't make anything. So barely keep up with inflation. It's a waste. Gold and silver could do great, but they haven't gone anywhere for 15 years, and they don't pay. They don't give you a dividend, or they don't give you a cash return. So they're a joke too. So I think, and then you've got, maybe you want to invest in old cars that appreciate, or I don't know, paintings. That's out of my wheelhouse. So we're going to throw that out too. There's really only two things you're left with in terms of, we're going to look at the risk reward. The risk and the reward. So we're talking about the reward first. What is the reward where I can actually make some money? Well, everyone knows about the stock market. You can make some money if you pick the right time. I think maybe in the last 100 years, I'm going to pull a number out of my butt and say, I don't know, 8 to 10% annually in the last century. Does that sound about right for stocks?
Yeah.
Bit high.
Okay, perfect. So 8 to 10%. That's pretty good. We're going to compare it to real estate. Real estate is very broad. Am I talking about, a mansion in San Jose? Am I talking about a penthouse in Manhattan? Or am I talking about a 4-unit in Pilsen? I'm going to throw a lot of statistics. You got to bear with me. 2 minutes. You got to bear with me because the reason that they don't teach real estate when you go to business school is because it's too freaking hard to teach. Well, you can teach, pricing theories of stocks in Shanghai, in London, in Buenos Aires. It's the same thing. It's the same CAPM business model. All the nonsense they teach you that doesn't actually mean anything or help you in any way in business school. Those principles in finance, they're uniform. The thing with real estate, what makes it a little tough is you've got to know the right market, and you have to have someone like me that actually, I don't know every market, I know one market pretty well, here. So in general, I think the right building should make your cash flow close to, maybe not 10%, maybe 7, maybe 9 after all your expenses. So the reward is close to stocks. But the problem with stocks is you can have, they call it the lost decade, I think from 2000 to 2010 or something. It was pretty much flat. Went up, went down, went up. So you have these decade periods. If you miss it, like if you buy right now, we've gone up for a decade, you have a lot of risk and a little less reward because you already had 10 years built in. But the big thing with real estate is you have something called leverage. You buy a building with 25% down and it appreciates 8%, you're actually making 4 times that 8% on the money you put down. So suddenly you're at 32, plus you're making 8% cash on cash, now you're at 40, plus you have tax benefits, now you're at 45, plus you pay your mortgage down every month with your tenants, now you're at 48%. These are very rough numbers, but you get my point. Suddenly the reward of real estate, the right real estate, crushes stocks. And lastly, let's look at the risk. Well, the risk of stocks is you can get a little dividend, you can get a few percent here and there, but if you miss the boat, like if you buy now when you should have bought in 2009, not 2019, you've kind of missed that run. Your reward could be not so great. Over the last modern period, I think 40 years, in general, they say real estate has 0.25% of the volatility of stocks. So you have quarter of the risk with potentially 4 times the upside. So I'm sorry, Mark. When I see him, I'm going to talk because he was saying nothing beats stocks over the long term. I would say on the risk-reward matrix, which I try and live my life, that's absolute crap. You have way more reward and way less risk with the right risk. So thank you.